Hi, my name is John, and I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video of mine. You know what? I like Korg. Korg is awesome. Korg is just, everything from Korg is just great, especially their synth line. And I started off with an Electribe the Electribe 2, which is one of the earlier synths that I own. And man, I just had a lot of fun with it. And I saw some people knock some stuff about it, and it's like, that's not cool. But this particular guy right here that I just received from Japan on eBay, this synth is actually kind of a little bit of a history for me. When I was a young man, and the first time I set foot into Guitar Center, because at that time there was no real Guitar Center in my particular area, and all we had was one music store, and they didn't really carry much by way of synth. I saw this blue box with those tubes up there, and those tubes were really cool. Like, they're really, really, really cool. Like, somebody put tubes in a synthesizer. And at that point, I was all up in trying to pretend that I was Joe Satriani, and failing miserably at it. And my one friend, Jeff, he always was telling me, he said, Johnny, you gotta play with tubes. Solid state just doesn't sound as great. And he was right at the time, of course. Tubes just sound better. And it really kind of began this journey. So I saw this thing right here, and I was like, Dad, of course I didn't have the money to buy one of these things at that age, but I was like, Dad, can you buy one for me? And he was like, no, why do you want to buy a synthesizer? And I'm like, all right, fine. So he didn't think much of it, and that was many, many years ago. Anyways, so I recently just acquired one, and to my chagrin, you all know, who have been following me on my channel, that I like Eurorack. That's a bit of an interesting problem, because I like Eurorack, and Korg had not quite yet put control voltage into this thing. Didn't have a really gate out, anything like that, unlike the new Electribe or the Volca series, which all have good pulse gates in and out for syncing your stuff. And unfortunately, this guy doesn't have that. Does have MIDI. I have MIDI right here. Hey, little blue cable, a little Radio Shack cable, vintage, because we all like vintage cables. And if you look up here, I'm going to be moving around with this one a lot, using this guy right here. And this Erica synths right there, you can sort of see it. You get the idea. That guy, that works really well. It's actually a really, really great MIDI CV module for clocking. Doesn't do so much with anything else, but for clocking old gear like this, it's great. But I have a problem. My problem is this: I really, 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 really like this, and I really, 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 really like this, and I really, 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 really like that. But there's a problem with this one over here. You see, this one over here doesn't have enough room for that over there. And that's a problem, because you see, how do I get this guy to play nicely with that guy? It plays pretty well with this guy, but not so much that. Now, I guess you could say I could use that guy over there, which is equally awesome and oftentimes really big for what I want to do, but I have it because it's kind of more collector-y aspect sometimes, and I just, it's fun to play with, and it's awesome. But we're not talking about that right now, because that does CV and gate, and everything plays well, mostly, but that's another time. So anyways, I was kind of wondering something. Is it possible to get CV or gate out of this? And of course, there's a bunch of modules out there. Dope makes one, I think. Kenton makes one. 2HP actually has been talking about making a module that converts MIDI to CV. Hopefully, they use one of these little guys right here, plug it right in, and whoo, everything works. Unfortunately, none of these options are really, for me, at this point, viable options. The 2HP module doesn't exist yet, and I don't really want to spend however much money on the Dofa or the Kenton extra box. My goal is to not have as many boxes as possible. I want to kind of have as little boxes as possible, so everything is kind of self-contained. That's kind of where I'm going. So I was on Muffs, and I was reading something, and somebody made a comment about this has an interesting feature, which it does channels. See that right there? And you can do, what does that say? You can do your typical output, your left and right output, and then you can do individual out. Well, that one's interesting. Oh, and by the way, before we get into this, this one right here, the audio in for the auto beat detection, sucks. So don't even waste your time. It's great if you want to do some like generic stuff. You push the button. It is not persistent. You have to manually do it. So by the time you've done it, you're drifting anyways. And I'm sure it's great for some. The newer versions do it a lot better. Like, so for example, the new Korg Chaos, the Chaos Pad, the Mini, it actually like consistently checks the beat. It's like, I don't know why I have to manually say just keep in tempo with this, but it's not persistent, and you kind of have to keep going back to it and resyncing it, and it's not exactly a great option. So let's just make that go away. So we're going to forget about that because that doesn't do anything. So anyway, so I was on Muffs, and somebody made a good point. They said, well, you know, with the individual outs over here, you can set any one of these parts to an individual out. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting idea. And I'm like, well, I guess it makes sense because, well, that's what this guy does. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, yeah. The Morphogene. The Morphogene does that. Wait a minute here. What are we dealing with? We're not dealing with that. We're dealing with electricity, remember? And that's all this is. All of this is electricity. That's all it is, just electricity. And we're kind of being little fire benders right now. We're electricity benders. My little, Avatar reference. We're bending electricity. We're bending fire, kind of. And that's kind of cool. So, well, wait a minute here. That's electricity, and that's electricity, and you didn't see me point. And that's electricity, and that's electricity, and all of this is electricity. Wait a minute. So, what if, and this is what somebody on the forum said, and they actually didn't really follow up with this, so I was like, all right, I'd remember about this. So, what if I actually found something on this? It was just, I'm not going to use it. Probably just sounds terrible anyways. Not every patch is going to be aware, let's be honest. But I find something on this that allows me to clock my various modules. Now, right now I've got, let's see, if I needed to say what do I absolutely need to clock? Well, I need to clock in all of this. And again, if I'm just going straight MIDI, yeah, this works great. Perfect little setup. It clocks perfectly well. But if I was to do something like out, how would I go about this? Well, I need to clock Tempe. I need to clock Renee. I need to clock the Pittsburgh Modular Lifeforms. I need to clock the Stilson Hammer. And we need to clock the Verbose Multi-Stage, which probably will never happen because, well, Verbose is its own special little entity. So anyways, so guess what I figured out how to do? This does a gate out. It can do it. And imagine my shock and my surprise and my elation when I found a patch, a way to make it happen. It's really cool. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. I'm going to show you what I found, and I'm going to try to kind of prove that this does a thing, and show you some of the wonky, weird things that happen, because electricity is weird. I'm not going to pretend that I understand it, but things happen, and things do weird things, and sometimes I don't think those things are supposed to happen, but for right now, we're just going to pretend that things are happening the way I want. So, we're going to start. I'm going to give you an idea of what all this sounds like, just by itself. I'm going to hit the play button, and we're going to figure out where it is, because I have it on. There we go. Oh, gosh. There we go. Okay. Well, there it is. It's blowing my eardrums up. There we go. Okay, cool. So, very simple, basic, very boring, nothing exciting going on. Just a standard kick hi-hat. And you see this little guy going like nobody's business. Now, this is going to be a really weird video, and I'm going to do my best to make it coherent, okay? Because I'm just really excited. I need to show this to somebody, and nobody I know in my personal circles really cares about this. And my wife would just be like, that's great. I don't know what it does, but that's okay. I love you anyways. And my wife is awesome. So anyways, all right. So we're going to show what happens. So we're going to hit stop there for a second. Okay, you got an idea what's going on. Now, this right here, we're going to go to that, is on 7B. Now, it can be anything you really want. I just chose this because, one, it's out of the way. It's a B, 7 for beat. I don't know. I keep all the synth parts. I'm sure you could probably do this with all the synth. You could do this with all the synth parts, but I wanted to keep them open, and I don't think I'm ever going to need that many drum parts. You know, I'm not some people out there. So anyways, so let's see what we did here. So I'm going to open up that part right there. We got to get out of this menu. All right. So now the way I have this set up, and I'll tell you exactly what I've got. I've got this part, 7B, and you can't hear it. And I'll show you why. We can fix that. Give me a second. It's going to the Alt 3/4 bus. Now, I'm going to change that for the moment back to the LR bus. And you can kind of hear that. It's this like clicky. Now, what I've done is this. I have turned the envelope generator. Okay, made it really clicky, okay? This actually changes the response on the different modules that I'm using, and we'll get into that in a minute because that's really a fascinating thing. Now, of course, none of this actually works with this. They didn't start doing the filters until the Electribe 2, so this doesn't do anything, of course. Now, could I conceivably use the effects like the distortion or EQ? Could I do that? Yes, I could. I don't want to because I want to keep that free for other things. So I don't want to have to deal with the whole effects chain and whatnot. I want to keep it simple, stupid, right? So we're going to do that now. Let me move over here, and I'm going to have to do this very weirdly. So let's pull that microphone out. I've never walked around with this microphone like this. So anyways, we're going to walk over here, and I'm going to show you what I got. Out of the back of part 1, we have this. And it is going into one of these guys. So you'll see that it's a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch DIN. I think it's a Hosa brand. Yep, you can buy like these on eBay or Amazon or wherever you want to, really. And for right now, we're going to move you. I'm going to have a lot of things in my hand. We're going to be moving around a lot for this. We're going to go into there just for the moment, the Midi Clock. And the reason we're going to go into that is because that is the simplest way to show what is actually happening, because it's got a little red LED, and little red LEDs tell us all fun sorts of things. So we're going to move this a little closer. Okay. I'm doing my best here, so I apologize. So we're going to plug that back into, and I just really want to be thorough so that way nobody's like, what did you do? Your hand's in the way, and people yell at me for that sort of thing. And that's happened. I'm sorry. So I want to plug it into the individual out number 3 as soon as I can find it. There it is. And we're going to plug it right into there. And then this guy, for right now, is going to go into the clock in out. Now, this is a clock in out. Now, what this does, interestingly enough, there's a switch right here. So if I have it to MIDI in, that means it's going to take the MIDI input jack. It's going to take this guy right here. If I plug this back in, I would flip that up to MIDI in, and then it would, clock just fine and good, and everybody would be happy. But that's not the point for right now. What we're going to do is this is a simple, basic test. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, we're going to go back down here. Okay. And hold on. And we're in synth part B. Okay. Now, we're going to change this right here to 3/4. And now, push button, you're not going to hear it because it's going out through that one. But let's go up here. And you're going to have to take my word for this because I can only do so much here. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Good angle. And I'm going to go push the button. Boom. Oh, hey. I pushed the button. And when I push the button, something happens. And I am pushing that button because now what's happening is it's actually gating, pulsing that. And to prove, I'm going to hit play for a minute. Okay, and now I'm going to do a few other things. For right now, it's just doing a simple, it's going for just all the way, every other tap. You can't change the gate on this, so we're gonna go 1, turn off, we're just gonna do it on every quarter. And it is firing actually exactly as you would think. The reason you're not actually seeing it light up every single time, I think, is because of where the frames are and how LEDs operate and whatnot. But I can assure you, it is firing appropriately. So we're actually seeing this right now, right? So this is kind of cool. And if I go a little faster, I'll put those middle notes back in. And now you can see it going a lot faster. And then we can make it even go faster by having all 16 steps. And it is firing in a perfect sequence. It's not... Sorry about that. I clipped the phone. Hit my phone. So anyways, it is firing all 16 steps, and you can't really see it right there, but I assure you that is what it's doing. Okay, so let's have a little bit more fun with this, because this gets a little bit interesting. And I am all over the place. Sorry for dropping my camera. I'm not a professional. But hey, that gives it the sense of realism that we like, right? So we're going to pop this out of here, okay? And we're going to go into Tempi. And we're going to see if we're still going to get this to work. Now, of course, Tempi right now is right there. And it's just, Tempi when it doesn't get a signal. And we're just going to do this every quarter. Whoops. And so... let me turn off this light. There we go. Now you can see what's going on. Okay, so Tempi is now just doing its thing. Okay. We're going to hit play again. Okay. Is it gating? Not quite. Let's change the pitch. Oh. As soon as you change the pitch right here of that, oh, now we're getting somewhere. Things are happening. But if you see I changed the pitch, there it was. It gets kind of hard to hear where... And then, of course, with Tempi, you can... Oops. Play around with it. Okay. Well, that's cool. I think that's cool. I hope that's cool. So, well, we can say that this does this with Tempi. And we have to... something I kind of noticed. All right. Something I kind of noticed. Going back to this right here for that bus... Okay, if I go like this, changes the pitch of the PCM sample. And in this particular case, which one am I using? Let me just find out again. I'm using 94 Clap R&B 2. It just seemed to be the most the loudest. Again, I have that cranked up all the way. This actually, the tube does not do any. Oh, where's the tube? The tube does not actually do anything here. Bypasses the tubes. It's just a straight individual output. So, all right. Well, it works with Tempi. Well, that's neat. All right, cool. So we get gate out with the EMX-1, the EMX, with Tempi. All right. So there's gate. That's cool. That works, right? Hey, we like that. Things happen. And then. try that again. Just find that spot. Oh, forgot. I'm not. It's not going through the right spot. There we go. There we go. Had the wrong output. Okay. Well, that's neat. What else do we got? All right, let's move over here then. And a little bit of a spoiler. I can tell you one of these is not going to work very well. Sorry about that. Again, not a professional. Got wires and cables and all sorts of things all in front of me. So let's go. We're going to migrate over here to the big system. Now, the big system is the big system, and it's a little bit bigger. Definitely more expansive. Doing a little bit of a shift here. Give me a second. Okay. So, the question is, will we get that same kind of response out of, let's say, the Pittsburgh Modular Lifeforms? Now, this is kind of a neat guy. I don't use it all that much. I do have it because in those special days when I want to use the harmonic oscillator and the multi-delay, and I want to pretend that I have a Buchla easel, this guy is actually really quite nice. So, you've already seen what the EMX is doing. Let's go over here again. Got the handy-dandy cable. And with this one, a little bit different. The way they designed it, the buttons are atrociously small. And they're really hard to push. And so we're gonna play around. So this is clock. Oh, this is just a standard clock. And as you can see, it's clocking away using the internal clock. Okay. That is the evidence that is using the internal clock. Now, I don't actually have this patched to anything right now, only because I haven't been using it lately, but I did want to make it a point to say, okay, can I get this to clock with this? Now, this is where this little patch setup gets a little funky, and I think we could probably save certain sounds to make life easier, or you can just calibrate it, I think. That's my little Bob Ross. Or you can just calibrate it and just make it nice, and whatever you want to do, really. All right, so the next question is, can we clock this? And we're going to start off again. Okay, we're in internal clock mode, so nothing's happening. And there we go. And the proof of this, let's go back to this, go back to tap. Okay, now, this gets a little interesting because I noticed something. You won't be able to see what I'm doing because I only have so many hands and so many cameras. You start to see that slow up and do this kind of weird thing. What I'm doing is I'm actually changing the pitch, and the pitch is actually making it move better or worse. So right now, the pitch is all the way down to negative 63 and minus 63. So wherever that is, but as I go up a little bit, now it's up to like 60. So it depends. So the pitch actually does affect where this is going to be clocking. And in this particular one, I found that it clocks pretty nicely all the way up. Actually, there you go. So that's kind of cool. Okay. And again, we'll change that output for a moment. You hear that click, 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 and of course nothing's happening. Let's go back to the LR bus. Go back to 1, 3, 3, 4, and we're back again. And that's kind of cool. We can add more spaces in that sequence. Okay, so the EMX will effectively clock the Lifeforms KB1. That's cool. Nope, not the last one. Let's move over a little bit, because this one does something kind of weird. All right. Now we've got the Stilson hammer. Now I like the Stilson hammer, despite the fact that updating the firmware can be a little tricky. And it's a bit of a mess right now. All of this is pretty much tied into my Verbose stuff right now. So this is what's happening. I'm not going to go through the patch. But anyways, so let's kind of play with this one for a minute. Let's take our little cable out. Now, I'm not going to plug it in just yet. Here's a cable. We're going to hang you. I wonder if I'm the only one who does this. I'm not using a cable. I'm going to dangle it. There we go. And just to show, you can... there we go. And just to show, for right now, we're in the internal clock mode. And yeah, let's... why isn't it playing anything? Oh, it's muted. Let me just turn everything off too. I don't want to have any of the. I want it to be pretty dry. There we go. All right. So now we've got the internal clock. It's moving down here. I think it's only a 5-step sequence or 6-step sequence. I don't remember what I was doing last time. All right, that's cool. Okay. Got our cable. External. Let's see what happens. Again, I'm going to do just a standard 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the quarters. I have no idea why this is doing this, and this is something I noticed the first time around, but when the pitch is all the way up on this particular patch, it goes all over the place. And now it's back down to 63. Again, just doing quarter notes. Let's do the half notes. And now it's clocking the Stilson hammer. Now this is where it gets interesting. To make this work, I had to change the pitch. And the pitch works best when it's all the way down. So for whatever reasons, I don't know the mechanics of this, this will clock. All right. If I change the pitch upwards, which you can't hear, of course, it does this very weird, I don't know what it's doing. If I do it this way, it does it backwards, which is strange. I don't understand why, but we'll pretend. So keep it all the way down. Now that works. Okay. Aren't electronics fun? I think so. All right, so that's cool. And all of this just sounds terrible. I'm totally willing to admit that. then I just stopped it from the EMX. Finally, the Verbose Multi-Stage. Of course it's not going to clock it. Nothing clocks this thing. It doesn't even clock itself. I'm kidding. No, Verbose is great. The problem is that the way he builds his modules, he just has them built very specifically, and they do require a lot more voltage to run than pretty much everybody else. At least that's what I've gotten. So I can tell you this now. I did not get the Verbose Multi-Stage to clock from it, unfortunately. Could I be able to do it? If I had enough amplitude, I probably could. But I kind of don't have that much. Even the Akai Force has a problem clocking the Verbose Multi-Stage. So basically, what I generically do is I just patch this from the clock out in there. If I want to do it, it makes life just easy. So, anyways, that is that, and I think that's really cool. The EMX-1 can, in fact, clock Eurorack. And you know what? It does it pretty nicely. I like the fact that it gives me a sequence. I have a sequence to play with. So if I want to do like oddball timing stuff, I can do that. I like the fact that I'm only sacrificing one drum part. I mean, I still have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drum parts. Oh, geez, I lost one drum part. And I still retain my 5 synth parts. Now, here's the cool thing. Is that say I wanted to try and do something different, I'm sure you could do it with the synth part. There's no reason why not. I mean, it's electricity. Just remember that. In fact, with the synth parts, you probably have more options to really fine-tune your gate, your pulse out, or whatever, because you have the filter you can play with and the different types of oscillators. But it really doesn't need to be much. It just needs to be a sharp, or a whatever, something, just to give it that little jolt of electricity that needs to go. Anyways, thanks for dealing with my dropping of things and shouting of things and knocking of things over and weird, strange noises. And I think that really answers the question. I can at least attest that with at least Tempe, with at least the life forms, and with the Stilson, man, we definitely get clocked. Now, I was not able to clock Renee. I did skip over Renee. I apologize for that. I was not able to get Renee to clock. Renee only clocks from the Tempe. I don't know why. Again, I'm not an electrical engineer, but hey, I'd say that's a pretty gosh darn good start. Those are some pretty good array of modules, because they're all kind of quirky in their own right, and so I'd say it's pretty good. But anyways, hey, thank you for taking the time to listen, to watch. If you watched all however long of this, I hope you got something out of it. I hope it's inspiring in some way. And yeah, this is the greatest drum machine. I love Korg so much. In fact, I really, 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 and I just want to throw this out here to Korg. And I've tweeted them and I've Instagrammed them. When the Electribe 3 comes out, can we please bring back the 16 steps, and can we throw in the new tube, 2 new tubes up front, right up there, blue new tubes with an OLED screen, and the Chaos pad right there. Oh my God, that would be the greatest Electribe, I think. And by the way, sync, gate in and out would be great too. But they're doing that with everything else. So I can't imagine why they wouldn't keep up with that, because we absolutely love gates. So anyways, thank you for taking the time. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, thank you very much. God bless.